A couple of months ago, I shared a link on Twitter, and I think it was on LinkedIn, where I asked folks to just ask me questions, ask me anything about the product management career track. So basically, anything you want to know in terms of becoming a product manager, becoming a better product manager. And there's quite a few responses, and the trend seems to be steering towards one topic, and that topic is mentorship. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And to make it more interesting, I'll make this a Q&A. So this is just you asking questions and me answering them. And I'll start with a survey, and these are the questions that were submitted. So question number 1, do I need a mentor? Good question, whoever asked it. Do you need a mentor? I think generally it's a question that only you can answer. So do you need a mentor in your career? Do you need a mentor in your life? Maybe. Depends on your circumstances, depends on what exactly you're trying to get out of that mentorship. Are you trying to unlock a specific situation? Are you trying to solve a problem that maybe you are having in your career? Maybe you're stuck at what you're doing. So you need to ask that to yourself first. So if you know the answer to that, then you can decide whether you need a mentor or not. Generally, I'd say the answer is yes. So to me personally, mentorship has been a key part of my career. So I know that talking to people about my experiences, my challenges, and how I go about solving them is generally helpful because I get ideas back and I learn about new ways of solving problems that maybe I didn't know about. And it's especially critical if your mentor is somebody that is much more seasoned than you are because they've seen way more things and you have a lot to learn from them. So I'd say it depends, but generally, yes. For the second question is, how do I find a mentor? I really like this one because the more people I ask about us, the more ways I find about how do you actually go about finding a mentor. And there's many ways to do that. I'd say back in the day, pre-COVID, you could go to meetups, you could go to conferences, you can talk to people, and you can generally sense if you're striking a good balance between the conversation, and then you can ask the person and say, hey, by the way, I have some thoughts I want to bounce. Can we exchange emails and meet up? Nowadays, it's a little different, but there's still ways to do that. So I would say start with networks where you are familiar with and where you follow other people. So LinkedIn, Twitter, great places. I know that I've reached out to people over LinkedIn and Twitter, and it yielded some pretty decent results. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the easiest way to go about it, especially if you are cold outreaching to someone that has no idea who you are. They have never talked to you. They have never seen you. So that part might be a little bit tricky, but it is possible. So I'd say start with those public networks. It's easier than ever nowadays to find somebody that is relevant to your field. It's relevant to your position, to your specific career track. So all these things publicly available. So start there. And I would say when you do reach out to people, do not ask them to be your mentor because it's a scary proposition for a lot of times when you're thinking about it. Well, mentorship is a commitment. Does this mean now I need to carve out time in my calendar to meet with this person every week? So don't do that. Ask them for specific challenges or problems that you're trying to solve. Mention why you're reaching out to them because I like to think that you do have a reason you're reaching out to that person and not somebody else because maybe they're a product manager at some company or maybe they have experience in starting a product from scratch or doing user research. Figure out what that is first, talk to them about that specific problem, and then, depending on how it goes, you can decide whether this person is a mentor you want to build that relationship with or not. The third question is weird because it says, is there a trick to convince someone to be my mentor? No, there is no trick. There is no trick to convince somebody to be your mentor. It really is whether, one, you have a good rapport with that person. So that's important. Once you reach out to them and you see that they're responsive, they're asking you questions about what you're doing and why them, you'll probably sense whether it's a good match or not in terms of mentor-mentee relationship. Now, is there a trick to convincing them to be a mentor? I think the ask here stems from the fact that you want to have that commitment early on. And this is not really something that you can force people into or trick them into. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Now, as I mentioned earlier, once you reach out to this person, you explain why you're reaching out to them and you talk to them a little bit. And then you might ask them, is it okay if I, set up a quarterly check-in with you to learn more? Right? And that's entirely reasonable. And they might say no. I personally do not really like recurring meetings because that is a commitment and I do not know it's going to be in 3 months. But generally, it can be okay for somebody that's early in their career. So keep that in mind. But no, there's definitely no trick. This is a good one too. What should I talk about? So, well, one, if you're looking for a mentor, you have an idea of why you need a mentor, right? So this is not about just checking in with somebody every 3 months or every month and asking like, hey, by the way, here's what I'm doing. Am I on track? No. Don't do that. No. Having a mentor, it's about very concrete scenarios or cases that you want to get feedback on. For example, when I started my career as a product manager, one of the things that I actually had no idea about is what a product manager does to grow their product, to acquire new users. What are the things that I need to consider? So I reached out to somebody that was the expert in user acquisition, that building that funnel. So I had a very concrete task at hand that I need to solve and I need to get guidance on. And this is generally what you should do. So what should you talk about? Well, talk about things that are important to you and that the mentor has expertise in, right? Because you're not going to be talking to me about photography because I'm not a good photographer. Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't think I am. Next question is, I have no idea what I'm doing. Will my mentor know how to help me? I don't know. If you have no idea what you're doing, I think going back to the original question that I just called out is you still need to have some concept of, well, okay, I'm trying to go from A to B. So you have to have that map, at least some idea of what that looks like. You don't need to know the answer, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's very hard for your mentor to help you. It's good to get some perspective maybe if you are, at a crossroads and I'm trying to figure out what do I want to do next in my career. Maybe, yeah, that's reasonable. But to be fair, I have no idea what I'm doing either, so don't take my advice for it. Next question, how frequently should we meet? That's up to you and your mentor to decide. Generally, it can be very situational. So to me, I meet with my mentors once a month, some of them, twice a year. It depends on what the circumstances are, what their schedule looks like, because I tend to accommodate my mentors or their schedules in this case, because I don't really, I'm at a lower position than they are. And I know that they're way busier than I am. And I want to make sure that I am respectful of their time. They commit part of their day to talk to me and help me solve my challenges and provide new perspectives. But how frequently, it's something that you can agree on. Don't push that early on. So don't start with, hey, can we meet every month or every week? Don't do that. Just meet once, see where it goes, see how it goes. And depending on that, figure out maybe you want to meet again in 2 weeks, in a month, 3 months, whatever works. So this closes this episode of the Q&A on product management topics. And if you have more questions, make sure that you look at the description and submit your questions. And there's going to be another Q&A or many other Q&As in the future, hopefully. So put your questions in there and we'll chat soon.